Welcome to Power by Joy podcast, and I want to touch today on theme words or words you set for intentions or a word you choose for the year. Everybody at this time of year tends to be thinking about setting goals and a vision or vision boards, and it's become a lot more popular. People are choosing a theme word for the year. So I'm going to talk about that topic and kind of give a little guidance into steps or ways to think about that word coming into the next year and how it can be really powerful and what the outcome will look like. So if you're curious or want some guidance around choosing that theme word for your next year, or you want to toy with it and see if it actually makes a difference at all, then you want to tune in today. So I'm Erica and I'm your host, and I want to welcome you here. If you are someone who feels stuck, frustrated, bored, or just feel like you need more tools to make changes and feel more empowered in your life to experience more joy, happiness, peace, ease, more of the good stuff and get unstuck, then you're in the right place, my friend. So let's jump right in. I started doing a theme word when I started doing vision boards, and I would pick a word. I honestly can't tell you for sure where, because it's been a while that I've been doing this. I started it, but I just played with starting with one word. And I chose, just like, oh, that sounds like a good word. And so I chose it not putting a lot of thought into the word. And then I quickly realized that by choosing a word, you call in lessons and things around that word and that energy or intention to help you have more of it, or to put you in a position to choose to have more of that thing. So I had a coaching group I was in that we all kind of joked about, like, be careful what you choose because you don't realize that sometimes there's a lot of, I'm not going to say consequences, things that you call into your experience for the year that you don't think about. So if your word, let's say, is courage, then you're most likely going to experience more opportunity to choose to have courage in moments of your life in that year. And so that might be great and that might be what you need, but you also need to think about, okay, what would be situations that might come into my life because I chose the word courage? Or here's another one that I have resisted massively, and it is the word surrender. So to me, like, looking up the definition of surrender is like just giving up control of everything. And I was just like, no, I'm definitely don't want to be putting myself in a situation where I'm calling in opportunities for me to learn to let go and surrender to the situation and see how it goes. I was like, a lot of resistance around that. And so I have still not chosen that. But last year, even though I didn't choose it, I think I was being called to learn it. So I ended up having to work with the word anyway. So sometimes life just does that for us. But this year, like, my word I chose is liberated. And so I'm already seeing, and even before the year started, because I was really clear on my word this year, I already started seeing opportunities for me to choose to be liberated from worrying about judgment of others or worrying about the outcome of things, or being liberated from having like really black and white rules for myself. So I tend to do like all or nothing at the beginning of the year. So that, an example of that would be like dry January, no drinking at all, or I'm not going to have any sugar for a month, just really hard, fast rules. And I actually felt like I was being called to not be so extreme and black and white, but to be liberated from those rules I sometimes have made for myself, because in the end, then I feel super restricted and I almost feel like I want to rebel against my own intention or rule. I know it sounds weird, but like, after you've been at it for 21 days, sometimes you're just like, oh, like, I don't want to do this anymore. So then it becomes even harder. So I didn't want that either. And I just felt like that was the right word this year. So I've already seen moments where I've just had to choose to be liberated from just putting too much emotion and care and worry about a situation by choosing the word liberated. And we are in January, so this is going to be an interesting year. Another thing that I learned was something that I like to call the 4 pillars. And this is something you can do if you choose. If one word feels like enough, that is awesome. Go with it. But if you are someone who's been doing some of this work for a while, maybe you've already had a theme word and you want to maybe expand on that. My coach Camille, Ultimate Life is her coaching. She's amazing, and she taught us about the 4 pillars. And so what we would do is choose our theme word, and then the 4 pillars were like, if you picture like a tabletop, the top is like that theme word, and then there's 4 legs of the table, and those don't necessarily need to be a definition of that word. They're just words that you want to have supporting your intention of how you want to feel or accomplish or experience your year. So I like to add in some supportive words. So I, for example, had liberated as my main theme word. And then this year, my support words are collaboration, play, prosperity, and togetherness. And so those are things that I feel will lean into the experience and help support my experience that I want to have this year, and the emotions I want to experience, and the successes and wins that I want to have. So when you're thinking about choosing your word, I would just say taking a little bit of time and getting quiet. And we don't always do that very well, but take some time, sit down, take 5 minutes if you can, just breathing in, just breathing into your belly, just letting go of all the stress and tension, and just asking, just feeling and breathing into your heart space, taking a couple deep breaths into your heart after you've relaxed, and just ask, like, what is my heart being called to experience more of, or what do I want more of in my life this year? And ask your spirit team, your guides, your angels, God, whoever your loving creator is, asking for that guidance of like, what would be a blessing for me to experience and grow in this year. And just waiting and listening, or asking it to just drop into you maybe when you wake up in the morning, but setting that intention to be open and ask for that is a good place to start. And I have some previous videos that talk about planning your year, but when you're thinking about your vision for the next year, there is a benefit to going back and looking at last year and seeing what you did well and what you won at, and then also the lessons that you learned. And so you want to take some time to reflect. If you haven't done that, maybe check out that video. But taking some time to reflect so that then when you choose the word this year, you're more clear on what you want because you know what you just had. And if you don't take that time, it can be hard to get really clear. So I would suggest those things. And also, when you're doing it, if you set aside some time, it would be awesome to take even like a half hour, an hour if you can, and really honor yourself. And maybe it's that you're lighting a candle, or maybe you sage the room, you burn some sage and you clear the space, and you just set that intention that your highest and best, what is for your highest and best, is going to come in, and that there's no negative energy around you, and just clearing out that space, that anything old that's not serving you anymore needs to leave that space. And it might be that you do bells or sound, or lighting a candle, or spraying essential oils in the air. It could, so there's lots of different ways to set your space up if you're wanting to really make this a experience when you're choosing your theme word. So just think about those things that you would desire to have in your space that would really get you open and in a nice, warm, loving, safe headspace, because that's where you're going to call in the best information. So just think about that. And then when you do choose your theme word, if you're someone who journals or has a planner or like sets up your day, or maybe you have it as a theme word, like putting something on your phone so you see your theme word every day, or that you journal and write and think about it, or if you put it in your calendar. If you do have a planner, I like to write it there so I like see my words and intentions for the year. And I will tell you that I have experienced, if you think about like my life, anybody's life, but you think about this. When I have experienced setting an intention or theme word, I have found that it seems like at the beginning of the year, it's like starts to affect the things that are like really out in the periphery, like maybe not as close, but then as the year comes closer to the end, it's like I've been working through lessons tied to that word all year long. And it's like as it gets closer to the end of the year, the lessons get tied to more intimate space. So maybe it's, workspace and my home environment or something. And then by mid-year, maybe it's my relationships with friends. And then it becomes a lesson I learned with family. And then by the end of the year, it seems like it has to do with like learning that lesson intensely within myself by my closest relationships and through my partner, our dynamic, like I start to learn lessons about it, so that I'm having to evolve and choose to be encouraged or to be being liberated from others' emotions and energy so that I can stay in my own energy. So I have noticed that pattern that it feels like as the year moves, it kind of gets closer into where the last of the year, the lesson is me really embodying that word and energy with myself and my relationship with myself. And so it always turns out completely different. And that's the fun part, is when you set that theme word and you really keep tapping into it, that's a big piece of it. Keep reminding yourself, keep looking at, put it in places, put it in your bathroom on the mirror, put it where you can visually see it or hear it or say it out loud to yourself. You can make an affirmation around it. So I like to make an affirmation around my theme word that I can say to myself in the mornings when I'm in the shower. So that is something I like to do and you might find super helpful. And so I will make an affirmation around being liberated. And then that keeps that in your mind. And when you get to the end of the year and you look back, you're like, wow, I did not know that we're just going to play out that role in my life. But it is amazing to see it stack on top of itself. And so last year, my word was actually two words put together because I couldn't choose between. So it was embody divine. And I felt like it was really at the end of the year, me calling in being within my body and not having to strive and do to be in my highest version of myself. It was about learning how to just be that is who I am. And I did a post that because I felt like a definition of that came to me, because when I first got it, I was like, I don't even know what that means. But when I was in some of my quiet time, that came to me. And so I was able to understand it better. But I definitely had it turn out so different. But each year, the words that I set as a theme definitely play out where then it sets me up for my next year and helps me be equipped to deal with the things that come into my life the next year. So this is all about really living with intention when we set a theme word. And so if you're someone who wants change in your life, it takes setting an intention to do so. That is a basic foundational piece that you need. So I just wanted to share my thoughts around theme words, because you're probably hearing a lot about it, getting a lot of emails from people you follow, coaches, or on social media. I'm seeing a lot of it. And so I just want to kind of touch on, what can you do? Like set that space and set up your space around you to receive in that word. And also just being thoughtful about like, what do I want that word to mean? And another thing I like to do that you might not, but I like to go on and see like the root meaning of words. And so I will play in the thesaurus. So if I know I have kind of a feeling I want or emotion I want to experience more of, maybe it was freedom, I'll go into a thesaurus and I will type in freedom and then see like all the other words that are similar that have definitions. And I'll look up those definitions and kind of see which one really does my body open up and go, yeah, and feel a lot of energy towards. Our bodies will tell us what the right word is for us if you're really tuned in and listening and relaxed and in a good space. So set that space in your environment when you go to do this work. Don't just do it willy-nilly. You deserve to invest that time in yourself to make an intention, receive the right word, do it in a beautiful space and in a beautiful head and emotional space, right? That's where we come and get our highest results to manifest that life that we're dreaming. So I hope all of this is helpful for you. And if you know someone else who's like thinking about doing their theme word and they're maybe a newbie at it, throw them the link to this and share it. And I'd love it if you would also take time time to throw in a review too, if this was helpful, or a comment if you want to share your theme word. I'd love to hear your theme word, so make that a comment too in the comments below. I would love that. And as usual, I just want to invite you to check out the show notes because I have resources. I'll link to that past episode about setting your vision for the year. And I'm also going to have links in there about how you can connect with me if you need help figuring out your theme word, or this is something new to you, or you struggle with that. I would love to help you. I'd like to dial in. I use my own intuitional gifts and like to help you get that clarity, so you can schedule a one-on-one with me if you need a little guidance around getting that theme word dialed in. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to help people get clear on that. So reach out if you need help with that. And anything else I can think of, I just want to tell you, just have a great week. Okay? Thanks for joining me.